longevity lifestyle designers. This is Zach here with secretsoflongevity.com. This video is on 10 amazing foods for boosting testosterone naturally. And while I could not say that they're the top 10, there's many foods that do have properties of being able to boost testosterone, boost male androgens in both men and women. And the ideal way of doing that is to incorporate a variety of these foods. So you could use these 10 in varying amounts. You could use other foods, which I do cover in my upcoming program that will be released this fall called Male Sexual Prowess. I've got a link below where you can click through and read about the program before it comes out. Or perhaps you're watching this after it's already come out and you can already purchase it. So in that program I'm going to be going over plenty of foods, more than what I cover here, much more, plenty of herbs, a variety of different ways of combining these things and recipes. And then the program itself covers a lot more than just foods to boost testosterone, but also lifestyle practices, things to avoid, and it's all geared around male health, but this definitely does apply for female health, but it's geared towards men, of course. So check that out. I'm looking forward to releasing it. I've been working on this for over a year, and it's going to be a very high quality program. So I'm going to start with number 1 on my list is going to be kale. It's in the brassica family, and basically all the brassicas, everything from the mustard greens, that's the classification of them, cabbage, so even sauerkraut would be boosting to testosterone. So very similarly to broccoli and again those other brassicas, they have compounds in them that block estrogens from accumulating in the body, so they have anti-cancer properties to them, and naturally that allows more testosterone to be free and move throughout the body. So that's the way kale works. The next food I'm going to talk about here, number 2, is eggs, and specifically we're going to talk about pasture-raised, fertilized eggs. So the health promoting properties are much more enhanced. Naturally, an egg is going to be fertilized in the wild because hens that are laying eggs are going to be within proximity of a rooster that will have, or any bird that is, the male bird and the female bird will have been in contact at some point, so the eggs will be fertilized. In some cases you see little dots of the cells beginning the growth of the would-be chick in the egg. You never get fertilized eggs that have the whole chick in there. They'd have to leave them a lot longer than them collecting them just the next day after they've been laid, within 24 hours. So these eggs have certain properties about them that are much more anabolic. Bodybuilders know it as a secret. I had a friend that was trying out something where he was consuming up to 30 eggs a day. That'd be a good name for a website, actually. But anyways, these eggs, because they have more steroid compounds in them because they've been fertilized, when taken in large amounts, they actually have like a steroidal effect and can be seen as the natural equivalent to getting those effects without the harmful side effects. So definitely if you're interested in that and you're a bodybuilder, that's one path you can take, but I wouldn't recommend doing that many eggs unless you were really working out hard and able to use all those nutrients, because that's quite a bit of content in terms of calories and fat and protein that you'd be taking in. And yeah, it's just overall a wonderful food, high in cholesterol, which is good precursor that you definitely need, and is very healthy for both men and women. And it's high in vitamin A, which plays a factor in the synthesis of testosterone, which is often downplayed. So number 3 on the list is going to be red meat, and here I have some frozen elk, ground elk, and it is, again, all red meats are very high in cholesterol, very high in saturated fat. Some people recommend red meat for boosting testosterone, but then they say choose lean meat, and that just kind of defeats the purpose. You want these anabolic properties that are in the fat to be consumed. The protein in there and the zinc in the muscle tissue are wonderful as well and very boosting to testosterone. But don't be afraid of the fat. You can check out this video I've done in the past, which is sort of a whole series. The start, it's almost like the table of contents to a whole series I've been working on animal foods, and you can start to learn about how you don't need to be afraid of their consumption in terms of your health. The saturated fat, the cholesterol, these things are all health promoting, especially when taken from natural sources, pasture-raised, organic, etc. Number 4 on my list is white button mushrooms. The often least represented mushroom, the most common mushroom, but people are always saying, oh, go for the shiitake, go for the portobello, go for the oyster mushroom because they're more exotic, and they do have other properties going for them, but the white button mushroom has been shown to, and in fact actually the larger white button mushrooms are even more potent, but even the regular small ones are the most effective at being an aromatase inhibitor. So this blocks the enzyme which would allow free testosterone in our body to convert, or establishes and begins the conversion to estradiol. So when we have too much estradiol, we're set up for being at risk for a whole host of cancers. In males, it's going to start to lead us towards estrogen dominance, which would start to have us exhibit female characteristics like breast tissue growth, shrinkage of testicular tissue, general low energy and fatigue. And in women, it's going to set them up for higher risk of breast cancer. So this study, and that's going to be a link below as well, really clearly showed that women who regularly consume button mushrooms had a lower risk of breast cancer. Next on the list, which will be number 5, is going to be colostrum. I've got Surthrival's colostrum container here. This is 1 kilogram. You can see the size of it. It's a hefty amount. It's very boosting to a whole host of androgenic and anabolic compounds in the body. It's a natural source of IGF-1 and the whole IGF-1 superfamily. So that's a total of 87 different growth factors. It's very potent for regeneration of tissue, boosting of testosterone, boosting of a whole variety of androgens, and as well as DHT, which is a misunderstood androgen. So right now, until the end of August 2011, you have a couple days to grab yourself some to save some money. Right now the canisters are going for $150, they're regular around $180 or more depending on where you live with shipping. And you can also save money on the canisters, the smaller ones, which are 6.5 ounces, if you want to just test them out. I think they're around 25% off. And also the capsules, there's a bit of savings there too, and you'll see that on the checkout side of things if you were to purchase those. And there's a link below if you want to grab some. You can also check out this video if you want to learn more about colostrum. It's a 2-part video I did in the past to learn more about the properties and benefits of bovine colostrum. And I just have to also say this is a raw product that's been spray dried and meets pasteurization standards, yet is still kept below 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a very unique thing with dairy products. It's one of the only raw dairy foods you can get in terms of it being able to being shipped across borders and across state lines. Number 6 on the list is cucumbers. They are phallic looking and they do have an effect on the phallus. Again, testosterone is very boosting to the libido of both men and women. It's a key component to having a strong and healthy libido. If you're not waking up as a male with regular erections, it doesn't have to be every day, but if you haven't had an erection first thing in the morning when you wake up for quite a while, I would recommend you get your testosterone levels checked. It's not always low testosterone levels why you would not be having them. It can do with sort of build up a plaque in the arteries leading to the genitals. It can be a whole host of other issues. So get your levels checked with your physician, and if it's a low level, you can look at using some of these foods to bring that level back up. So yeah, cucumbers have components in them that are very tonifying to the whole kidney organ system. So in Chinese medicine, they recognize this organ system as having a very strong interplay between the hormones and sexuality, and of course, like the kidneys, that's the name of the whole organ system, but cucumbers have an effect on that, so it's important to include those. Very easy to eat, very tasty, and they have a whole wide range of benefits despite their what some people call a bland flavor. Number 7 on my list is Styrian pumpkin seeds. This is a big bag. You know what pumpkin seeds look like. These are much darker than sort of the palish green ones you find at the health food stores or grocery stores. If you can get these, I highly recommend them. You can see them up close. They're almost black. Very, very dark green. Darker color just means they're going to be richer in nutrients, so they may be higher in zinc. I'm not 100% sure on that, but pumpkin seeds of any source are going to be very high in zinc, and of course zinc plays a very important role in the production of testosterone and overall health. Most people are deficient in testosterone. nowadays with the depletion of soils, the use of very nutrient deficient foods, or the going on very weird diets where they're not getting enough zinc from animal foods or very concentrated sources of plant foods. So if you happen to be vegan or vegetarian, I definitely recommend the use of pumpkin seeds to ameliorate that deficiency that you probably do have going on to some level. One way to tell if you're zinc deficient is you start getting white specks on your fingernails. So if you've slammed your finger in a door recently, obviously that's going to cause the same thing, but disregard those. And if you have white flecks on your fingernails, you're going to have a slight issue with testosterone. Mine are all clear. Next on my list is anything from the allium family, which is onions, garlic, chives, green onions, all of those sort of spicy foods, root vegetable foods, and they have properties in them that again boost testosterone. There's a lot of studies on garlic specifically, but I prefer onions. There's a red onion obviously, and garlic doesn't quite sit right with me even when cooked, and so yeah, I prefer onions, and you just have to make that distinction yourself, but any of those foods in that family are going to be potent for doing that. Number 9, just like number 5, is going to be a dairy product, and it is grass-fed raw milk. You can have it in the form of yogurt, cream, butter, of course. Butter less so just because it's, and the cream, just because they're going to be not being the whole food in terms of they've been separated off. They're still a whole food, but they've been, taking this top portion of that food and leaving some of it behind. But the milk, as in its raw state, is fantastic. It does increase DHT. It does contain testosterone from the cow in the milk itself, and you absorb that orally. It does contain some estrogen depending on where the cow's at in its cycle, whether it's actually pregnant. If it's feeding on a lot of clover and other phytoestrogen containing foods, it's going to have high, elevated estrogen levels, and that will transfer into the milk. But overall, it is anabolic. There are some people out there saying it's an estrogenic food. Perhaps if the cow's pumped full of hormones, eating grains, eating soy is definitely going to be estrogenic. But if it's grazing on pastures, overall it's going to have an anabolic effect. It does increase DHT significantly enough that if you have hair loss issues, you want to avoid it. But actually colostrum has been shown to help with hair loss issues, interestingly. So other than that, if you haven't learned about the many healing and beneficial benefits of raw dairy as opposed to the much maligned mainstream dairy that most people sort of whitewash all milk as being, so definitely check out this video if you want to learn about all the intricacies of the benefits of raw grass-fed dairy. It's a long lecture that I put together, but it's a very important one. If you're unfamiliar with those things or you think it's a bad thing, then you definitely need to check it out. So number 10 is celery. Probably one of the most powerful ones of all these foods. It should be a part of everyone's diet in my opinion. And it contains a few things. Number 1 is it's a kidney tonic. Again, like the cucumber, it's very healing to that whole organ system, clearing out the kidneys, giving really good minerals to help hydrate and keep the whole body healthy. And it contains a compound called androsterone, which is almost pheromone-like in that it's excreted in the sweat, and the scent is picked up by people who could potentially be attracted to us. That's actually for males, less so for females. And it also contains a few precursors to some anabolic compounds in the body. So I'm going to have to read this one just because it's such a long, complicated name, but the chemical 5-alpha-andros-16-en3-alpha-ol and its related 3-ketone combine to form the chemicals that a number of animals use to stimulate sexual arousal in the female. They are a sign of the elevated sexual hormones in the male and its readiness to mate. And so these compounds are also basically very close in structure to testosterone and androstenedione, and can actually help the body increase the production of that. So what I just read there was from a great book, which I had some of the information for some of these foods in. It's The Natural Testosterone Plan by Stephen Herod Buhner. So if you want to learn more about that, you can always check that out online and order yourself a copy. So definitely check out the links below. I forgot to mention that the pumpkin seeds, you can get a link for that below as well. You can get the colostrum, which is on sale till the end of June 2011. Definitely pick up some of that. It's a great product that I use very regularly. And with that, take care, and embrace life without limits.